Welcome to the Fantasy Throwdown Podcast. The Fantasy Throwdown Podcast. Bringing you the latest from the world of daily fantasy sports and gambling, so you can stop Googling how to join a squid game to cover all those parlays you thought were such a sure thing. Now, sit back and listen to one of the sharpest minds in the game. Here's your host, Dwayne Callender.
All right, folks, we've got a lot of NFL action going on in the afternoon slate, but realistically, we have the AFC East still up for grabs because the Bills are trying to give away this game to the Jets. You've got the NFC West up for grabs because the Rams just pulled ahead of the Niners, and the Seahawks just pulled ahead of the Cardinals. So it's a complete mess. But realistically, I was doing this Showdown episode for the Chargers and Raiders, except for the fact that Carson Wentz had the brain fart of brain fart games, and the Colts lose to the Jaguars, where the Jags literally oversold to stop the run and dared Carson Wentz to just throw one-on-one on the outside to beat him, and Carson Wentz could not make passes today and threw multiple interceptions. So I'm bringing my dad on because he could not believe what was going on, even though I warned him. The only person who can stop the Colts from winning the Super Bowl is Carson Wentz. And he didn't believe me, but I said it. It's like the Colts are the most dangerous Super Bowl contender because the only weakness that they have on that roster is Carson Wentz being Carson Wentz. And Carson Wentz took him right down into elimination as the Colts are now going home, and the Steelers are actually going to make the postseason with the worst playoff roster possibly in Steelers history. I cannot think of a worse Steelers roster than this Steelers team that's going into the postseason right now.
I'm telling you, it's like you think that maybe Tomlin is bribing everybody. I've never seen anything. I couldn't believe that the Colts lost that game. And it's not like they lost the game there. Some fluke happened. They just sleepwalked through the whole game. You could see it. They got beat both sides of the ball right from the get-go. It's the worst performance I've ever seen. It was never in the game.
So you're saying that the Colts were being coached by Joe Judge today?
But the thing about it is this. If you woke up and you saw those two teams playing and say, one of these teams that can make the playoffs if they win it, which team would you pick? You would never pick the Colts. They was never in the game. I don't understand a more underwhelming performance.
But that was the thing. The Jags oversold in their game plan. They oversold to stop the run. And so that left one-on-one coverage on the outside. That should have meant a monster game for T.Y. Hilton and Michael Pittman, and Carson Wentz could not get the ball out. It was one of those mind-boggling games because Carson Wentz was struggling to throw outside the hash marks, and when he tried to throw in between the numbers, when they were expecting it, Carson Wentz turned it over. He was bad. He was just flat out bad. There's no getting around what Carson Wentz did today. It was outright criminal what happened to the Colts today because if I'm gonna rip on Baker Mayfield for killing the Browns' playoff chances, I got to do the exact same thing for Carson Wentz because Carson Wentz did the exact same thing because there were throws he made where you're saying to yourself, you can't make that throw. Like, why are you trying to force that throw? That's the throw they want you to make. And you're a veteran QB. You have to be able to, acknowledge, hey, this is a riskier throw. I could take a cheaper check down here. No one's covering my guy out here in the flat. I'm going to take the yardage. We can move the chains. Instead, Carson Wentz is panicking as they're down in the game. Instead of just being a veteran saying, we got plenty of time, let's work the field. Because, like I said, the Jags were overselling to stop the run, and there were opportunities underneath to just pick and dink and dunk and pick apart and get back in that game. As long as the defense held their own, which they kind of did until Carson just gave it away. There was enough time, more than enough time to get back into that game. Carson Wentz was just panicking. It was obvious he was panicking.
Because it was time, it's not like the score was 35-0. It was a manageable score. It's not like we don't 5 touchdowns or whatever. They always was in striking distance. They just never made any headway. You're watching it and you're like, they didn't even get a field goal. Even if they got field goals, they could have made that game close. They got nothing from many of those things. And I think what happened with them is, early in the game, they had a couple of 4th downs, and the Jaguars was ready for Jonathan Taylor.
Well, this is what I was saying. The Colts got and again, I don't have a problem with it necessarily because the strength of your team is running behind your tackles. You didn't have all your linemen healthy today, but realistically, you think you could still beat the Jags 1-on-1 at the point of attack on short yardage situations. So they tried doing it. The Jags, to their credit, they were beating them with the run blitzes. They were getting the penetration, and that kind of kept up throughout the game. And eventually, the Colts were just getting very stubborn with it, saying that they can get it done, and that's where it kind of came down to. So the joke about all this going on as I'm watching these games is, the Bills know that they're struggling against the Jets, but because New England is struggling once again playing in Miami, I'm looking at this game and the Bills are not panicking in this game. So they're just kind of taking it easy. What I felt happened to the Colts today is that knowing that they needed to take care of business and seeing how tight that Pittsburgh game was, they got even tighter. And this is what I kept talking about with Carson Wentz not being calm and just panicking. It's telling how bad Carson Wentz was that you could see he felt the pressure and just imploded.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. For a close game, that you're so much better than the Jags, you should be able to pull it out. Even midway through the second half, I'm thinking, they're going to win that game because...
Oh, yeah. No, you tell yourself there's so much time, it's going to happen. But Carson Wentz just kept... I started watching him throw. I'm like, oh, boy, he shook. Because you see the panic. You see him literally panicking. And because he's shaking his head, and the body language, and it was awful body language. Like, you could tell he was not feeling confident at all about what he was doing.
I was listening this morning when I was driving up to your house, and, not one of the experts picked, everybody's like, well, yeah, but they're playing the Jags. So,
this is the one thing I'll say about that. I felt, personally, the Colts were going to win that game because the strength of that team with Jonathan Taylor and the Jags still being bad against the run, they were eventually going to wear them out and be able to run the ball. But my whole thing was you can play for leverage and play the Colts passing attack if the Jags oversold to stop the run. And that means, it's the old Buddy Ryan. Like you're run blitzing and you're sending everybody. And that's what they did. So when you send everybody, there's going to be passes over the top that you should be able to win one-on-one matchups. And he has the receivers to do it. It's just that Carson Wentz would not audible at, the Colts were just not willing to accept that they needed to audible out a certain place. And when they did went to pass, Carson Wentz was just inaccurate more often than not. And then when they got themselves caught up in passing situations, that was when he was at his worst with the decision making, and he wouldn't take wouldn't take the check downs. So that's why they had plenty of chances to get back in that game, but every time they had a chance to get back in that game, they would just short circuit the drive right off the bat. I mean, there's a reason why when that second half started, he threw 2 interceptions on the first 3 passes of the second half. And you're just saying to yourself, well, what are you doing, bud? It didn't make any sense.
No. I mean, it's 26 points they scored. You got beat by 26 points, and it wasn't even close. You know, a team scored 26 points and won easily. It's not like they scored 30 or 40 points. You know, it's 26. And for a long while, it was 26-3. You know, they only scored a touchdown. You know,
the Niners are still trying to hang on. So basically, in this scenario here, the Niners actually have to win, because if they don't win, the Saints are going to backdoor their way with a win here today over the Falcons. They're going to get into the postseason, and this Saints team is terrible. Like, honestly, this 49ers team isn't any good. The Saints aren't any good either. So to me, it doesn't matter which one of these teams gets in. They should get knocked out. But I will say I do trust the 49ers more, just because the issue with the 49ers always goes back to Jimmy G making terrible decisions and Kyle Shanahan having to be smart enough not to let Jimmy G screw his team over with his play calling. Kyle Shanahan gets way too cute with his play calling, and that's what happens. So the 49ers are trying to get this tying touchdown here, and I think, honestly, with 35 seconds left, I think Shanahan's going to go for 2 if they get the touchdown here. But then again, knowing Jimmy G, he's probably going to throw a pick to end this game completely.
I don't know. It's and don't get me started with the Giants.
Listen, what, you don't like Joe Judge's idea of competitive balance? Hey, a QB sneak on 2nd and 3rd down inside your own 10-yard line is competing, okay? You compete to the whistle. You compete to make sure you have room for the punt team. Joe Judge literally saying that in the post-game press conference might have been the dumbest thing he could have done. I was trying to create room for the punt team because he couldn't live with the idea of having another safety after last week's game against the Bears. I'm sorry. You are thinking about last week's game as you're coaching this week's game? That's not what a head coach does. I'm flabbergasted listening to this guy talk. Every time he talks, he digs himself a deeper hole.
And not only that, your great equalizer is to do a quarterback sneak so you can get room to punt. Yeah, you know, I mean, it's mind-boggling that this guy actually has a...
the touchdown! 49ers. So let's see what they do. Do they kick the extra point, or do they go for 2? I'm thinking Kyle Shanahan's gonna go for 2. I think he's gonna go for 2.
They're confusing the Rams, so it's not a bad idea.
They actually did try to kick. They actually went to kick the extra point. Okay, that actually surprised me. I actually thought that he was gonna, because Shanahan always loves his little 2-point conversion plays. With the season on the line, he actually went to kick the extra point. what do you know? That he didn't go with the analytics. I tell all these people who were saying the analytics was gonna be. Yeah, you know what? I'm not even gonna go there. Yeah. So, but yeah, the Joe Judge bragging about saving room for the punt team is about the least competitive thing I could even think about.
Yeah, but nobody's gonna think about that. So that's why we work.
It's just so pathetic. It's literally the most pathetic way to close out the season for the Giants. Because I watched that game, and the amount of people who... It's like, I was waiting for someone to actually ask if I was interested in going to the game. Not a single person asked me if I'm like... No one was going to this game that I do today. No one was going to the game. The parking lot was empty. It was barely full. I don't blame anyone because it's a cold day here in New York. Everyone's miserable, and then you're watching Joe Judge with this. I mean, it was so uninspired.
Nobody will expect it. You see, you don't appreciate the fine points of this thing. Nobody would expect us to do that.
Yes.
20 yards.
Yeah. No one would have ever expected a team to try 2 QB sneaks, needing 10 yards and getting 2.
I can't wait tomorrow morning to hear Ryan Clark. I can't wait to hear Ryan Clark.
I mean,
on those brilliant moves. Oh my God, it's ridiculous. It's just stop it already.
It's
I know Mara and them. They're stubborn, but come on, guys. You can't do this to your fans. You can't do that.
No, here's the reason why I think Joe Judge survives. They have to fire him, but you know why I think he's going to survive? I honestly think they're going to promote Abrams to the GM spot. Because here's the thing. What outside person is actively chomping at the bit to become the Giants GM when he can't fire any of the principal people in the front office right now that are part of the reason why this team has sucked for so long? All the quality people that Ernie Accorsi had in that organization, they all aged out and retired. You know why? Because Ernie Accorsi has been gone from the organization for over a decade. He's been gone for 15 years.
Yeah, Accorsi left in 07.
Yes, he left. He left. So he's been gone 50. Everyone else that was quality Accorsi had brought in, they all got old and retired. The only people left are the holdovers who couldn't get any work elsewhere and are close with the Mara family.
Yeah, because when that jackass took over, and he won a Super Bowl with.
Well. Listen, Jerry Reese got Jerry Reese. Basically, what we now kind of understand is Jerry Reese got the job because he was okay with saying yes to some of the stuff that the Maras wanted to do anyway. And after 11, what you kind of saw was the deterioration because Jerry Reese would be able to pick some players, but free agency and a lot of this stuff is being driven by Chris Mara. And John Mara's involved with John Mara is also involved with the player selection. The Maras are very much involved. So Jerry Reese ended up kind of being the spokesperson, took the heat and the blame for it, and then eventually got himself fired because of the Eli debacle. But if it wasn't for the Eli debacle, Jerry Reese probably would have stayed on as GM for a few more years as the team disintegrated further. But but the one thing I'll say, though, is Gettleman basically was so much even worse than Jerry Reese at his job that it exposed how much meddling the Maris actually do with this franchise.
I know. What might end up happening, and I don't know if it's going to happen now, because, you know, in '82, what the NFL did, you know, people think that the Maras actually hired George Young.
No, the NFL made him hire him.
The league made them hire him because they realized these guys don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, no, the Giants were so bad. Like, people don't forget. Like, people complain about Eli, not realizing Eli was the best time period for the Giants in 35 years. Like, outside of the runs in 86 and 91, realistically, Eli was the best run the Giants have had in 35 years.
Oh yeah, because it seems got good to the end. He wasn't good to start with. Hostetler was a backup, even though we won a Super Bowl. He played in Super Bowl and we won it. But he was a backup because the next year when they tried to make him a starter, he wasn't a starter. He was a backup. You know, some guys are backup. And outside of that, we had bad guys. Dave Brown. I mean, these guys, you know, we didn't have good guys. You know, so that run with Eli, between the fact that he never got injured and, you know, and he had nerves of steel when it came to crunch time. Yeah. You know, and like I said, if people weren't so stupid when they just started that, you know, everything is Eli's fault, we lose him because of Eli, and not realizing he doesn't have anybody in front of him, you know, and we should have started rebuilding that line. Instead of reaching for a quarterback, we should have been building that line, you know. But hey, what can I tell you? The Tampa gave them a game when Daniel Jones came, and everybody went crazy with that. You know, so
Danny Dimes.
Yeah, Danny Dimes. He really dropped the dime on us. You know, and not only that this guy can't play, you know, he can't stay healthy. So what's the point? I mean, he has never played a season. You know, between him and Saquon Barkley, if you piece them together, you might get 2 seasons out of them. They can't stay healthy. You know. And Saquon Barkley is starting to worry me because I remember Blair Thomas and where's the other one? Where's that other running back? Not Nilakina. Oh my God, I forgot his name from Penn State. These Penn State running backs kind of worry.
Wow, Rashad Penny just destroyed. Woo! Wow, what a run!
So, you know, it's something else. Anyway, I got something to do here. So
yeah. So I'll let you go because we gotta get going, Callie. I gotta cover this Sunday night game. So you can watch Sunday Night Football tonight because I'm pretty sure Roger Goodell has told both the Raiders and Chargers they can't kneel their way into the playoffs. So you can watch the game tonight.
Yeah. All right. So we'll talk.
All right. Take care.
Okay.
All right, so folks, basically the playoff scenario for Sunday Night Football is this: because of the incredible implosion of the Indianapolis Colts. We actually have a real playoff scenario here, where we can actually say definitively that both of these teams can make the playoffs with a tie by just running out the clock. I'm sure the NFL has instructed both teams not to do that. So we're going to treat this as a real game, despite the fact that literally both of these teams can assure themselves a playoff berth by just running out the clock. So we're going to treat this as a real playoff game, and winner gets in, the other loser goes home. So we're gonna play Justin Herbert captain. We're gonna go with Justin Herbert's weapons, treat it like a real game. So Justin Herbert, I'm going to play Herbert in the captain. The Chargers have enough weapons between Keenan Allen, Eckler. You got cheap punts like a Steven Anderson, Josh Palmer. All of these pieces are so cheap, you can make it all work in terms of pricing, in my opinion. Now, on the Raiders side, we know they were going to want to try to run the ball. Personally, I think this is a case where you got Darren Waller back. It just means that Waller, in an elimination game, this just comes back to being, do you play Waller or do you want to play Renfrow? I don't really trust either guy, so I'm going to prioritize the Chargers pieces and then, fit in like a cheap Raiders piece like Peyton Barber, because I honestly think that the Chargers just come out and try to put on the points early, and it's a case that the Raiders try to play catch up, and then you get some you get some garbage time points with Carr just chucking it, and that's how the Raiders score. So I don't necessarily say it's a complete annihilation by the Chargers, because frankly, I've said this many times that the Chargers are one of the worst coach teams in the league. I truly believe that. So it's possible the Raiders keep this game honest and close. I just want to play the Chargers pieces because I know Justin Herbert can shred this Raiders secondary. So personally, I think you go with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. You got Deshaun Jackson, who's very cheap at $1,400. The Chargers secondary gives up big plays all the time. So Derek Carr is going to be chucking. And I can't give out full lineups, but realistically, that should point you in the right direction. I think there are points to be scored in this game, even though both these teams literally could just kneel their way into the playoffs. It's not going to happen. That's way too logical. So I'm getting out of here. It's been crazy. The Niners just somehow got into the playoffs thanks to Matt Stafford having yet another brain-dead interception. It's just kind of sums up this NFL season. What an absolute mess. Good luck to everyone tonight. Who knows what we're going to get? I expect chaos, because that was what today was in a nutshell. Have a good one, folks.
Thanks for listening to the Fantasy Throwdown Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and all other major outlets.